Hello, everyone. Welcome to this July edition of PCP No Boosters Needed. I am Juhadre. I am joined by the regular crew, Zeno and the Snurks, and VG Shazbot.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
You know, I realize I call it the July edition, but it's releasing in August. So, what do we call it?
The next episode.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, this episode is going to be talking about our July tournament that did happen a month ago, almost exactly. And wow, I'm remembering back to, I said in the June recap that it was one of our most competitive months yet, but I think July actually beats it. It was so crazy, and everything was just beyond exciting.
It was such a fun tournament. Like, it was hype the entire time. Some of the craziest plays we've had. So much fun to cast.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well then let's jump right into our semis. Now, this is a fascinating month as well because it is what I want to call the resurgence of Team Unknown. They had a bit of a hiatus over the spring where they were missing from a couple tournaments, and even before that, they missed a few finals. And so we still have seen them on the stream the most out of any team, almost combined with, like, if you were to take any three teams and combine their presence on the stream, they still wouldn't match Team Unknown just because they've been so prevalent within the tournament and so successful. But our first showing was their semis match against the Short Bus Dojo. And actually, before we move on, can we just give a silent round of applause for the crazy creative names we had in July?
They were really good. And I like that we are still getting new teams that are not only like, we don't see a recycling of the same strategies, but also recycling of names. I like the names are just as fun as their gameplay sometimes.
Yeah, there was Fartman and the rest, was it? No, that's Brett and the rest. It was Fartman and something. And
man.
Do you remember? Do we remember who it was? Badoof's usually, or Zeno. Wow. Sorry. I've got two names, man. It's hard. But anyway, Short Bus Dojo versus Team Unknown was our semifinals. And it was, again, one of the most competitive series that we've seen. I can't even really call it a series. It was a very competitive game. It was high action, high kill, just like we typically have. And the whole time, I think the largest the gold gap was before the ending was maybe 2,000. It was so close.
Yeah, like all the score was in lockstep, and so it forced us as casters to really like buckle down and discuss what each team is playing for. What it's one of those ones that you had to be paying attention to really see what was going on in the game, and that's what made the game so much fun. Is that the players like played to their strengths. And it wasn't one champion or one player that was running away with the game, but the synergy between Team Unknown or the Short Bus Dojo that really just shined. It was amazing.
So a couple highlights here. I put some notes in here. The Short Bus Dojo played Fiddlesticks, and to memory, it's the first and only Fiddlesticks we've seen so far.
Yeah, that sounds about right, I think.
Yeah, he played him well. I appreciate it. He filled a niche that Fiddlesticks not only showed, although if memory serves right, he picked him like near last, and which is really interesting. Avoiding, I guess, counter picks or whatnot, but not necessarily someone that's going to be snatched up in Team Unknown or in PLC.
Yeah. But what was so fascinating about it, like you said, he not only filled a niche, he piloted the champion so well. There was play after play where he was flashing over a wall to get a fear, or he would jump into a losing fight just to get the fear and then help save a teammate or secure a counter kill. He had great vision, and he was so efficient with the way he moved that they actually got all of the Drakes until Sol. They just got the first three without any contest. And the way that he was moving around the map and impacting the game was really cool.
Yeah, and Fiddlesticks, the thing about him is that he kind of forces the enemy team to play differently because of his ult. His ult just allows him to do big jumps over walls, so if you don't ward properly, he can just blow up an enemy team.
So the other great thing about the Short Bus Dojo and playing Fiddlesticks is they had some wombo combos that were out of this world. I need to remember the full team composition. I think it was let's see. It wasn't that game, but they had Fiddlesticks. They had, man, I watched this earlier today. I'm the worst.
Are you talking about the semifinals team specifically?
Yes.
Okay, I have it pulled up. Their team comp was Yone, Fiddlesticks, Gragas, Jin, and Nami.
That's what it was. Okay, so we got a Jin root into a Gragas barrel into a Yone on top of the Fiddlesticks. Like the way they were able to combine their ultimates and win these fights. There was a time. Oh yeah, that's right. Cassante was on the other team, and he was literally in the air for 4.5 seconds, and he died because of the way they were able to layer all of their crowd control. It was just so entertaining.
Makes sense, though. Fiddlesticks really benefits from a heavy crowd control team, just because you can keep them locked down because otherwise people just run out of his ult,
And piloted them really well as well because now I'm trying to skim through and remember the Gragas was not doing well. Was getting picked very, very often, but the amount of CC whenever they were together, Short Bus Dojo had a just terrifying team fight. So that example that you gave with Cassante, who was doing relatively well, but it was anyone who got too close, and that dance back and forth of tethering that CC was a big theme that we saw.
Absolutely, and it played. We can shift now. It played right into the style that Team Unknown likes to play, and that style is fight. Right? They just, anytime there's an opportunity to contest anything, maybe not Scuttle Crabs, but definitely Honey Fruits, Blue Buffs, Drakes, Grubs, Turrets, all of that, they always fight, and this particular game was no exception.
It was also cool to see a Seraphine mid, since Seraphine is almost always a support champ.
One of my favorite moments, there was a time near the end of the game where, two things. No, the other one was the finals. But the Valentine was playing Tristana, and they were running up the river, and he got hit with, I can't remember which crazy amount of what spell was supposed to stop him dead in his tracks and save a member of Short Bus Dojo. But then Sea Pudding was right behind Valentine and cast an ultimate that is on par with, if not better, than some of the professional cleanses at Worlds. Like, the spell touched him and he didn't even move. I think it was a Nami bubble. If I'm remembering correctly, it was a Nami bubble that you could see the animation hit, but he didn't even stop moving. Like, not even a frame of stutter because of how perfectly the Melio ult got cast.
Yeah, I remember talking, because Sea Pudding is who we had on the interview afterwards. And the way that they were talking about, being on the team, if memory serves right, it was their first time playing in that tournament setting, and it's a little overwhelming. They're everyone's first time, but that their team was super supportive of them, and we praised them for that. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm just trying to play well." Like, very humble. I loved it. Super well played. Props again.
All right, and with that, it was Team Unknown who was victorious in our semifinals, but not easily. It was a heck of a game that is up on our YouTube. So make sure and go check that out, especially if you get the chance to do so before we play our August tournament. So then from there, first, actually, my apologies. Congratulations to Short Bus Dojo for making top 4 and for a game well played. It was incredible. We hope to see them back in August. Now, moving on to the finals, it was Team Unknown versus the Hextech Hotshots. And we talked about the interview afterward, but one of the things that was mentioned in that interview was just how consistent Team Unknown was able to keep their team composition. Wukong, 6 out of 6 games, Melio, 5 out of 6 games, and Seraphine mid again in both the semis and the finals.
Seraphine in both games, I still think she's an underrated mage, but keep going.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how many teams say, this is our draft. Let's try and stick to it as much as possible because it's what we feel is the most powerful and most synergistic with our playstyles. So that if Wukong is open, we pick it. If Melio is open, we pick it. How many other times did Death play Seraphine in the Swiss stage? How many times did we go between Cassante and Gnar? How many different marksmen were played? And I would be interested to hear a discussion on that type of a strategy.
I personally think consistency is one of the best ways to get good results. If you can be consistent and use a similar strategy and it works, don't fix what's not broken, as they say.
What we need to talk about next is the Hextech Hotshots picked Ivern. And boy, howdy, was that one of the weirdest picks that turned out to be one of the greatest picks in the whole tournament.
Is that the game that the Ivern ganks the bot, or I think maybe they were fighting around Otacon, but that was like that crazy play where the Ivern was just in all the right spots at all the right times. So much CC. It was crazy. I remember being flabbergasted during the play.
So rather than a specific moment, let's just call it the first 22 minutes of the game. That's what the Ivern did. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And the play you're talking about, in fact, is actually clipped as a YouTube short and on our Instagram. So go find those because it's exactly what Shazbot said. He was so flabbergasted, he couldn't form words.
And for good reason.
Yeah, 10, 0, and 8 at that point when they take the Otacon. Just what a wild set of plays. It's, like I said, first 22 minutes of the game, this Ivern went 10, 0, and 8, always in the right spot. Was able to summon Daisy twice in a fight because he had Malignance, and it was so entertaining to watch. The shields were perfectly timed. They were huge, keeping the marksman and the jungler alive. What am I saying? Yeah, and the jungler. Just everybody. Just keeping everybody alive. It was quite the class on how to play Ivern.
Man, there's so many things to talk about with these games. Like, I'm just looking at a screenshot. I pulled up the short on the side, and this Ivern's got Press the Attack. He's got Malignance. A fully stacked Dark Seal when I'm looking at him at 22 minutes, and I'm like, am I out of touch with Iverns? People not building?
The thing about Ivern is, sorry?
Go for it.
Yeah, Ivern's like his builds, in essence, you have a support focus build where, you're trying to maximize your shields as much as possible, but then you have his damage build where the idea is that you're using Daisy to proc everything, which is why it's like Malignance and Press the Attack and everything.
Pretty cool.
So the Ivern was a terrific piece of pressure from the Hextech Hotshots. They also picked Blitzcrank, another rare but not unseen pick. And while the laning phase was a little bit rough, during the mid game, Blitz was everywhere, and he was like trying plays. He didn't land all of the hooks, but that's not necessarily the most important part, right? It's controlled. That's why they call it crowd control. It's forcing your enemy to be in a certain spot, whether right next to you or not hitting a Drake or farther away from a turret, doesn't matter. And the way that Blitzcrank's pressure and just his presence was able to direct some of that was a lot of fun to witness.
Yeah, and I love I love people that make champions that I have a negative bias towards look good. you get such a bad connotation with Blitzcrank as being a noob stomper, but it really is interesting to see him in the finals of a tournament piloted so well to cause such pressure. He's got Swifties and the support item that makes other people deal more damage, and he's a massive threat. He basically becomes like an assassin from a distance, which of course he does in noob games as well, but having that threat, we've talked about this often, that we don't see a lot of like single out pick characters in our tournaments. And I think Blitzcrank kind of falls under that category. He's kind of like a support assassin in a way.
Yeah, his goal. Yeah, his goal. It's not him that's doing the assassinating. He just pulls you in to a near impossible position to then let his team just destroy you.
So while he had that pressure in the mid game, like I was saying, the laning phase was kind of rough. So for the hot shots, the side lane pressure was definitely not there. But poor Death on Team Unknown got ganked like 4 times and died 3 out of those 4. He was Seraphine against the Hui, had that Ivern coming in and the Blitzcrank, and just every time he thought he was okay, he got ganked, and it was rough. So it's credit to both teams finding their strong positions on the map, right? You have hot shots in the mid lane, putting the pressure and the aggression onto Death because they aren't being able to push in the other lanes, whereas Team Unknown definitely used the bottom lane like they typically do, and also had quite a bit of pressure coming out of the Gnar on the top.
Yeah, I'm always I'm not surprised that was kind of their focus, just because Death has proven to be a very, very consistent, strong player over the years of participating in PLC.
Well, guys, those are all the notes that I have. Are we ready to announce our winner for July?
Sure thing.
All right.
Yeah, I think we've already done that though.
Yeah, we did all the way back from when we talked about the interview, because
I realized in saying, "Oh yeah, it's who we interviewed," it kind of, I guess you have to be taking notes and paying attention to their brand new player, but yeah, they deserve it. Team Unknown winning it.
Indeed. And, that was another thing that we talked about in the interview, is what was it like coming back to and being a champion again. And even though it was C Pudding's first time, you could really feel the excitement and the elation from the team in that interview. So it was really, really fun. Congrats to them, and well played to the hot shots, because again, just an incredible display of within 2,000 gold the entire game, back and forth, kills all over the place, objectives traded, just highly entertaining game. So if you get the chance, definitely go back and watch that. Alrighty. Well, then with that, congrats again to Team Unknown. And August is going to be on August 16th. So get your teams signed up, ready to go. This actually should be coming out either right before or during. So maybe that announcement isn't too important. But September is also announced. That is September 20th. That link is already available, so go sign up for that. And before we wrap it up, everybody, we need to talk a little bit about our patch, right? Because the new patch dropped. That means it'll be what we are playing on August 16th. So, Shazbot, you had something in particular you wanted to bring up.
Absolutely. So we've seen a lot of like really interesting changes recently. The changes to Kled, the changes to Alawi are the ones that like come to mind. But one thing that is going like kind of under the radar for me, I haven't seen many people talk about this. Maybe people are talking that are much better than me, but I don't see it. Is the armor changes to the tank supports. We're talking Braum, we're talking Leona, we're talking Rel changes. But Alistar just had 7 armor knocked off his base starting armor, which, if you're unfamiliar with how armor works, armor gives diminishing returns. So taking 7 armor off the beginning of the game means you're going to be taking a lot more damage. And if memory serves right, Braum, and then I think Rel did earlier. But anyways, these support tanks are getting smashed. And I think that's going to have an impact on our tournaments coming up.
In addition to the base 7 armor being taken away, Braum lost 0.2 armor growth. So if you think about 18 levels at 0.2, that's 4 or 5 armor. Also,
yeah.
gone.
Which again does not seem like much because Braum is someone who builds armor, but that makes his matchups into ADCs all the worse. And I think because of how much we like Braum in PLC, he's a good defense against invades. He matches up with our Lucians and whatnot. That this is something that we need to keep an eye on. If you're someone who likes to play Braum, make sure that you're being safe in the early game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with how oppressive Braum's level 1 can be for invades with the passive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the Leona. Was that on last patch?
I maybe I'm thinking I played a game of Leona recently, so maybe she's just fresh on the brain. But maybe that was last patch. Anyways, if you play Leona, make sure to check the patches.
Right.
Because I can't testify to you.
Other things significant in the patch, I think we can talk about the Pantheon change, where he's not an every pick, but he has been seen in the PLC quite a lot, and his monster damage on his Q dropped 15%. So instead of being 105% damage to monsters, it's only 90%. That's going to slow down his clear quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
That 15% damage is pretty high, and especially because it's an AoE. That means any camp just got a lot harder. The Krugs, the Raptors, all of those groups, hard.
Yeah, especially with Pantheon's Q being his main, damaging tool just in general. And, just having that AoE effect where he could hit, I'm pretty sure most, if not all of the jungle camps with, inside of each jungle camp with a single Q, just position it right. So seeing that damage reduction, yeah, it's like you said, it's going to slow down his clear overall.
Okay.
It's one of those things, like, I don't want to go reading through the entire patch, but there's a lot of I've always disliked the word rework, but that's something we don't have to dive into. But the significant changes for these champions, Illaoi is not someone that you see much of, and the fact that her E only lasts 3 seconds now is huge. Completely changes the way that she trades. So check your champions, and I'm excited for our August journey.
Yeah, I think because E is such an important part of Illaoi's kit, especially in her early game, it makes me curious to see how Illaoi players are going to adapt to deal with that.
Well, we're going to have to ask Shazbot because he's an Illaoi main.
I don't know about you guys, but I think once this is done, I'm going to queue up top lane, so...
Alrighty, well then, I think that's it, everybody. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for jumping on here. Congrats again to Team Unknown for a hard-fought victory, and well played to all the teams that showed up in July. We hope to see you back in August. Thanks so much for listening to PCP. We will be back for after our next tournament, which will be on August 16th. And don't forget that September 20th is also available for sign-up. You can find us by searching Progenitor Circuit on YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, and sign up on Battlefy, battlefy.com/Progenitor Circuit. We'll see you next time.